Logan Paul versus KSI, by far the most anticipated worldly event of all time. Second coming of Jesus Christ, who? No. This is an occasion far more grandiose, far more extraordinary. The apotheosis of social and religious affairs that is bound to vigorously rock society on a global scale. The sensational boxing match between local asinine meathead and slightly blonder asinine meathead. The championship that is destined to bring entire civilizations crumbling to the ground. With such earth-shattering consequences on the table, it's no surprise this has been a major topic of discussion for quite a while. But what exactly are these godlike contenders even fighting for? And what could this entail for the future of this putrid wasteland of a platform we call YouTube? Let's get into it. So here's the thing, right? As a whole, I don't care for boxing at all. Like, seriously. Being chained to a wall and forced to watch Jojo Siwa's original movie, Blurt, would genuinely be a more enjoyable experience than sitting through a scripted slugfest between two sweat-stained meatballs who probably get paid too much. I've seen two boxing events in my life. McGregor versus Mayweather, because, well, everyone fucking saw it, and Joe Weller versus KSI, because, well, everyone fucking saw it. And I will admit, they were both pretty entertaining. It's not like I regret watching them or anything. But even still, I'd be lying if I said they hadn't left behind a certain void. An immeasurable hunger that could only be satisfied by the juiciest, the most succulent of online beef. And honestly, what could be more sensational than Hairline from Hell facing off against Mr. Walmart himself? Needless to say, as far as YouTube goes, KSI and Logan Paul are absolute firebrands. Their blunt, brooding personalities coupled with rabid fan bases full of bloodthirsty children makes each of them a major force to be reckoned with. Say what you will about them, but it doesn't change the fact that they are masterminds at what they do, with a few exceptions, of course. I think we can all agree they each know how to project their brash and audacious voices across the entire YouTube spectrum, to the point where Logan and Jake Paul are now household names. And as much as I detest them and everything they stand for, I gotta respect that hustle. And frankly, same goes for KSI and his brother. With a combined sub count of 28 million, it's reasonable to say they have a thorough understanding of how this game works. JJ knew exactly what he was getting himself into when he challenged the Pauls to a boxing match in Manchester after brutally beating Joe Weller's twinkish body to a bloody pulp. By putting the Paul brothers on blast, he knew it could only end in one of two ways. Either A, they accept giving KSI and his brand even more publicity, or they decline and make themselves look even more cowardice in the eye of the public. And after that little oopsie doopsie Logan had in a forest earlier that month, he could really use the resurgence. So after jokingly putting their dad up to the challenge, they eventually accepted, as long as Jake could face off against Deji in the undercard. And thus, the blood sport of the century was conceived. And after these two eventful press conferences, it's hard for me to say I'm not looking forward to this. I mean, it's been incredibly entertaining so far. From Jake joining Deji in a "fuck Jake Paul" chant, to KSI lobbing an alien hat at Logan's feet, to the totally and completely non-scripted punch Jake threw at Deji in a gym, they really do know how to put on a show. For the most part, at least. Because after sitting through so many stupid interviews and diss tracks,
I don't deal with that. Pagans all in my way. No. I don't deal with that. Bullshit in your DNA. No. I don't deal with that. Bitches wanna come and play. Cause everything is on point.
Epic. It's pretty clear who has the upper hand in this altercation. Jake and Logan were able to keep their cool during the first conference by treating it all as a show. Which it is. At the end of the day, they're just trying to play into the whole array of it. This isn't meant to be taken seriously, and I feel like that's where JJ and Deji have seriously missed the mark. As they've both expressed, they loathe the Pauls on a personal level, and as evident by the second press conference, they're not doing it solely for the spectacle anymore. They're doing it for the sake of justice, which it makes it harder to come out in support for someone who approaches a ridiculous issue like this from such a personal and momentous standpoint. Like, dude, it's just a fight. Calm down. I personally don't care who wins, just as long as I see them all get knocked around a bit, though I think it'll be pretty close. At least between Logan and KSI. As for Jake Paul and Deji, There is just no way Comedy Shorts Gamer is coming out of that ring alive. Are you kidding me? Noodly Arms McGee going up against this absolute unit? Good f***ing luck. He's in over his head, and if I had to put money on it, which I actually might do, Deji will be knocked out by the second round, guarantee. I'm calling it now. I'm right, okay? I'm always right! Now, despite my total lack of interest in boxing or douche tubers like these four, I have to say this is still a pretty significant event. I mean, I'm recording this 2 days before the fight goes down, and they're already estimating a turnout of 21,000 audience members on top of several million watching live at home, even with pay-per-view. Which is kind of stupid to me because everyone's just gonna pirate it anyway, so really they're just losing money in the long run. But hey! This still has the potential to be one of, if not the, biggest boxing match in recent history, which to me is fantastic. As you probably know, YouTube as a whole doesn't have the greatest reputation, at least not in the eyes of the dreaded mainstream media. Not only do the big networks and news stations belittle YouTubers on the regular, but because they see us as their inevitable replacement, they tend to discredit the platform overall, insisting to the average viewer that we aren't good enough, that we aren't legitimate. The only realistic way to swing the public opinion on this is to show them what we're truly capable of. And if it takes the likes of KSI and Logan Paul to validate YouTube and the plethora of creators that inhabit it, I think it can prove itself to be a wonderful thing. But really, I just want to make some money off this kid being decked in the first round.
Keep on, keep on.